So we've talked about the core offering of discover, design, and build. But there's also a lot of things that we do for customers in a kind of a pick and mix fashion based on what they need. And these value add services on top, we do quite a number of them, but maybe let's talk through maybe 3 of the most popular ones that we tend to see. Let's kick off with journey mapping. Tell me about journey mapping.
Yeah, okay. So journey mapping is often something that we do at the beginning of a project. Not all of our customers need this because they might have already gone to a third-party agency and had this done already. But where you need help in designing an experience online, this is what journey mapping does. So basically, we look at different personas of people that will use the website or the digital solution that we're creating, and we'll look at how they interact through all of the steps along that journey right through to the end goal. And so that'll look at things like what types of devices are they using over time, what are the blockers along the way, how are their emotions throughout that journey, what sort of information do we need to show at different steps along the way. So that's really about designing an end-to-end process for end users to follow, and just making sure that we're clear about what are the sort of the conversion goals. So if you, for example, if you're trying to get a university student to enroll, like how do you take them through that journey from the beginning when they're just investigating all the way through to actually having their enrollment?
I actually like that because that tends to be quite a difficult, not a difficult, but it's an involved process. And I've been in the situation where we've had to do that ourselves internally, and sometimes that almost kind of holds up a lot of work because we're trying to focus on doing that. So it's kind of nice to know that we can offer that to customers as well, because we're not just building a site for the site's sake or an application. We're trying to build an experience across the board. And this sounds as though we're really connecting the dots with what the tech can do to deliver the experience, not how the experience fits the tech.
Yeah, it's true. It's like the tech can pretty much do whatever you need it to do. And the problem, I've done this myself on internal web projects where I think I know what the end users want, and I go ahead and I build something, and then when I show it to people, they go, not what I wanted. So having someone come in who's independent and actually engage with those end users as well, and do testing along the way to make sure that you've really understood what it is, the pieces of information that people need to know along the way. Not what you're guessing they need to know, but what they actually know and feel and need to know to get them to that end result is actually, it's a much bigger deal than just can the tech do it or not. And it can really make or break the solution that you build. It can mean the difference between spending a lot of time and effort building something that no one uses versus actually achieving your company goals.
Spot on. So let's talk about the second example of a value add service. And I think this is so relevant today in the landscape that we operate in. Tech integration audit. What is that?
Well, that is basically where we use our solution architects and our tech consultants to get involved. It's often quite early on in the project to have a look at all of the different third-party systems that are inside a customer's ecosystem. And understand what content resides in those different systems and how we surface that to be a part of a single unified digital experience. So a really classic example that we deal with quite a lot might be a university with student management systems and course systems, library systems, all sorts of different systems that have different information. But then if you can surface that and pull it together into a single portal for students, then you're actually just creating a really seamless experience for those end users, and they don't realize that they're actually interacting with 4 or 5 different systems behind the scenes. The trick here is actually to make the front end solution look really elegant, but behind the scenes there's a whole lot of complicated tech going on. But yeah, the way you start to sort of get your arms around that is to do that technical integration audit and understand what the data is that you're dealing with.
I think this speaks so much to how so many digital teams, marketing, comms teams are suffering with, again, kind of lots of fragmented systems and data and content in lots of different places. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to help them map out the experience, like the journey mapping, and then just say work backwards and just say, how do we actually make sure the entire experience ties in the right data, the right content across the right systems, so it surfaces like one seamless experience for the customer.
Yeah, that's right. It's starting with the end user in mind. So just designing that seamless experience and then going, well, what data do we need to surface from the different systems that might already exist, and how do we aggregate that in a way that makes sense? And you don't want to recreate that information in other places. You just want to leave it where it lies, but surface it and be able to push and pull information to and from those systems. So that's all about just integration points and APIs and knowing how to talk to those systems, what's out there.
Let's talk about the last maybe example. We're going through value add services at the moment. This is a big kahuna because this is the thing that tends to stop teams in their tracks sometimes, because it seems like this behemoth project, building a site, moving from old to new, this whole idea of content migration. What's involved in that, and how do we help customers?
Yeah, so this can be huge, like where you're talking about customers who might have hundreds of thousands of pages. The prospect of copying and pasting content manually from one place to another can not just seem daunting, but actually is just a massive time sink. Yeah, it can really put a stopper on a project if you haven't got a strategy for this. So our professional services teams can come in and have a look at the content that you've already got in the templates in which it already resides. And we'll look at the new template. So presumably if you're building a new website, a lot of the time you're changing the shape of the page. So the old template might differ from the new template, but we'll map that content from the shape that it's currently in into the new shape that it needs to be mapped to those new templates. So we have a mature process to address that. We basically go through a specking process and we write up a specification. We have some content migration scripts that are already pre-built, but then we customize those to map the content from the old shape into the new, and we run that several times as a test run, and then we QA test them until we're happy that it's all in the right shape, and then we do the final run, and we've got all of the content across. And then from that point, it's in a DXP where you can review the content, and if you need to rewrite it, you can do that at a more leisurely pace, but you've basically got to the new platform at that stage.
Seems as though that's the more practical way of doing it. I've done it in the past where we've had massive spreadsheets and lots of cells, old content, data entry, old, new. It was just mind-boggling. So now it seems as though there's a lot of, as long as we do the planning and the mapping up front, there's scripts to help us automate that. And what you're saying is also, don't worry about fixing everything before you move it over. You can move it over as is or partially edit it and progressively go on in the new system and edit it from there. And our kind of low code content management platform enables us to do that pretty easily. But yeah, this sounds like a smart move, right?
Yeah, it just gets it onto the new platform, and then from there you can take advantage of the platform and all the tools within it to manage, stale content. You can set up rules for managing this content is going stale, or this content needs to go through different approval steps and different stakeholders to get rewritten. And the new platform gives you all of those tools, so you can take advantage of them once you've got the content into the new place.